For years, if you were looking for an affordable compact car, the Kia Forte has been a solid choice, an incredible alternative to vehicles like the Honda Civic and Toyota Corolla. Now, last year, Kia actually replaced the beloved Forte name with a new vehicle called the K4. And in doing so, Kia actually successfully captured a lot of the upscale vibes from its bigger brother K5 and, of course, the discontinued Stinger. Well, for 2026, the K4 family is expanding with the addition of this vehicle. This is the first ever K4 hatchback. It essentially captures a lot of the magic from the K4 sedan, but in a more versatile 5-door body style. And today we're actually here in Detroit, Michigan, because we're finally able to get a closer look at the all-new K4 hatchback. So now that we're doing so, let's go ahead and take a detailed first look. Now, when I first had a chance to drive the all-new K4 sedan last year, I was pretty impressed with the overall package. Kia really did capture a lot of the more upscale vibes from the bigger brother K5. So as you can see for the hatchback model, the powertrain specs are practically mirrored of the sedan. Basically, for the base engine, you're going to start with a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder making around 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque. It's hooked up to a continuously variable transmission Kia calls an IVT. However, this particular model that we're showing you here is the GT Line Turbo. And just like the sedan GT Line Turbo, you have the company's 1.6-liter gasoline direct injection turbocharged 4-cylinder making 190 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque. This model here is hooked up to an 8-speed conventional torque converter automatic, and all K4 hatchbacks are only offered with front-wheel drive. If you guys want all-wheel drive, Kia will happily sell you a Seltos, which should be around the same price point of this vehicle. Now, we don't have the final fuel economy figures just yet, although we do know that this powertrain gets 2636 in the sedan. I imagine that the hatchback should be similar, if not slightly less fuel efficient, with around a 12.5-gallon fuel tank. This vehicle is designed to run on regular gas. The last K4 sedan that I tested did 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. I expect this model should be pretty similar, which should be fast enough for a lot of enthusiasts out there. Remember, this is kind of considered to be like a lukewarm hatchback as opposed to a hot hatchback. Now, curb weight figures, we don't have that final figure yet. Although the sedan weighs in at around 3,200 pounds, I suspect the hatchback should be around the same, if not a little bit less, because this vehicle is a lot smaller versus the 4-door sedan counterpart. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here, which, as you can see, is held up by a prop rod, and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, this color is a new color and it's exclusive to the hatchback body style. It's called sparkling yellow. I have to say it is very, very bold. And along the lines of the hatchback model, which basically looks the same at the front fascia as the sedan, it certainly has a standout look. You can see Kia's latest design language is here, that tiger nose, which has kind of evolved into like a tiger face grille with some actual functional openings, some metallic and gloss black accents. The headlights you can see are very in your face. They have some elements here from the EV9 flagship electric SUV. You can see this right here is actually the fog lights. The LED low beams are here, and then these cubes right here, the small cubes, are the actual high beams. These premium projector small cube LED headlights are only included on the GT Line Turbo. You also have this kind of amber illuminated daytime running light, which looks very interesting, of course, with the rest of the lines. You can see the GT line models have a much more aggressive front fascia with the gloss black and this kind of like gray metallic lower front splitter. You also have features like front parking sensors and an integrated front camera system, because this model also comes with a 360 camera. And overall, just like the sedan counterpart, this is definitely a vehicle that gives off more of a mid-size vibe to it. And I think it's been doing well for Kia in terms of the design. I really like the way this vehicle looks overall, especially in this bright, sparkling yellow exterior color. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see the hatchback body style is actually a lot shorter versus the 4-door, which I actually think is a welcome change, because there were some proportions of the 4-door which just looked a little ungainly, especially at the rear overhang. And that's because Kia has essentially chopped off 11 inches off of the back of the vehicle. So with an overall length of around 174.6 inches long with the same 107-inch long wheelbase, you can see this is definitely on the shorter end for a hatchback model. So the sedan is actually on the longer end for the class, but the hatchback body style is actually a little bit shorter versus a Honda Civic hatchback. It is around 2 inches longer than Kia's own Seltos, which is a subcompact SUV. But remember, this vehicle's silhouette to me almost looks like a shooting brake, which is a wagon body style, which I actually think looks phenomenal. Now you can see the wheels. These are the included wheels that you get with the GT Line Turbo. This is the only trim to get the gloss black wheel. If you guys go for a GT line, you'll actually have this same designed wheel, but with a different finish to it. The base trim is the EX trim, which will have a smaller 17-inch wheel. You see the tire sizes 235 by 40, R18, all disc brakes, and then this trim also gets an all-independent suspension as well, with the kind of gloss black along the wheel arch trim, along the side sill, and it looks really nice, again, with the sparkling yellow exterior color. You can see some other elements here with the GT line. You got a black painted side mirror with integrated turn signals, of course, some metallic accents, and then you also get the ultra-wide style panoramic sunroof. Although it's not a full pano roof, it certainly makes the styling of the vehicle look really nice. I actually would have liked to see Kia offer maybe some roof rails on this vehicle, perhaps something you could add in the aftermarket, although with the way the sunroof is, you're not going to be able to do so with the factory mounts. But you can see you do have some more gloss black around the, or glossy areas around the window trim. And then I also love this design element here where Kia actually is hiding the rear door handle here to kind of give this more, again, of like a two-door look to it. But for me, it really just looks like a wagon, especially when you look at the kind of floating roof design that you get back here, which is certainly a unique element. Now, moving over to the rear, you can see Kia really nailed the design here. This is definitely one of my favorite looking hatchbacks. And I have to say, I mean, the class basically consists of the Civic hatchback, the Corolla hatchback, and of course now the K4 hatchback. You do have this really prominent spoiler back here with the integrated third brake light. Your rear wiper is actually hidden underneath the spoiler, which is a really clean look, of course. The rest of the design, you can see you've got the big, bold Kia logo with the metallic look. And then you can see it doesn't have that trendy full-length LED light bar, but I also love the way the taillights kind of mimic the way the headlights look on the vehicle. With the sparkling yellow, you can see more of that gloss black, and you also have a more aggressive rear diffuser back here. The taillights are full LED, as you can see, with an LED turn signal, LED brake, and reverse lights. No visible exhaust tips. I would have liked to see Kia include like a sporty dual exhaust, especially when you go for the GT line turbo model. So that's something that I wish that they would have addressed. But looking at the cargo area, you can see it just has a manual lift gate, which is typically the norm. You're not going to find a power lift gate in this class of vehicle. This is where you're going to choose the K4 hatchback because of its increased practicality. Because even though this car is shorter overall, you have around 22.2 cubic feet of storage space, which is about the same as what you're going to get from like a Honda Civic hatchback. It's got more space, however, versus a Toyota Corolla hatchback. You can see the underfloor cargo area, you can see, has an actual temporary spare tire in addition to a little bit more underfloor storage. And then if you want to fold down the seats, which I'll do so really quick, you can see this is the beauty about the hatchback body styles. When you fold down the seats, you have almost a pretty flat float floor, actually, and Kia says it expands the cargo to just under 59 cubic feet of space. 59 cubic feet of space is huge. This is actually almost as much space as Kia's own Seltos. It's got more space versus the Honda Civic hatchback and way more space than the Corolla hatchback. So again, Kia expects a lot of people to buy this vehicle and have it as their only car, and with that, you get basically compact to subcompact SUV levels of practicality. Now moving on to the interior of the all-new Kia K4 hatchback. First of all, as you can see, this GT line trim comes with a really nice interior color combination. This leather is actually called Syntex. It's a synthetic leather, and it kind of has this really interesting two-tone look with the kind of white and black design with the GT line embroidered into the actual seat back. The headrest also looks pretty cool. They adjust manually up and down. This driver's seat here is a 10-way power adjustment with a two-way lumbar. It also comes with a two-person memory, and this is the only trim, if you guys go for a tech package, I believe, that gets heated and ventilated seats with the memory seat function. So these are features that you don't typically find in the compact sedan class. I mean, you're not going to find it in something like the Civic hatchback or the Corolla hatchback. So Kia really has that premium feel kind of, down in this interior, especially if you guys go for the top trim. Now, getting inside, you can see it is a low hatchback, so you're going to have to deal with that kind of low step-in height. But once you get in here and then shut the door has a really nice solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on their latest architecture that's also shared with the new Hyundai Elantra. Now, in terms of the material quality, this is the top trim, but Kia definitely makes you feel like you bought a K5, a more upscale vehicle. Let's start with the door panels here. You can see you have a soft touch injection molded plastic area with this kind of silver painted plastic door handle. You have your heated and cooled seat controls here, which are actual hard buttons here on the door panel. And then you can see there's more Syntex leather here and here. I also love the ambient lighting. You can see you can change that color, I believe, to 30 different colors with this vehicle, or maybe it was 64 different colors. It's still very intricate, especially in this class. You're not even going to find ambient lighting in something like a Civic or a Corolla. The steering wheel, you can see, has a really interesting two-tone design with a flat bottom and a flat top design. You can see the Kia logo here, how it's offset kind of drives my OCD crazy, but it certainly looks good with the two-tone design. You also have these silver painted plastic paddle shifters here, which look nice. And then you also have a manual telescoping steering column, which allows you to get a good amount of adjustability and range. The driving position, this car actually feels really good. It also has a nice low hood, which is nice. In terms of the dashboard materials, you can see the soft touch from the door panel kind of carries over to the upper portion here. This tries to look like a brushed aluminum trim. There's like a gray, a glossy gray plastic here with traditional air vents, where you can manipulate the air with a traditional tab, which is nice. And then you can see here, all versions will essentially come with the latest infotainment system. So it's almost 30 inches of screen real estate that houses their latest CNCC software. Now, as you can see, the center screen here is 12.3 inches. You have a 5-inch display here for the climate controls, and the instrument panel here you can see is also a 12.3-inch display. That's my phone connected. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The graphics and resolution is also fantastic. It's quick and snappy. When you go back to the Kia display, you can see this is their native system here. And it also includes built-in GPS if you guys want to use navigation, although most of you are going to use your phone anyways. If I push this button here, it brings up the full 360 camera, which this vehicle also allows you to go to different views and do a full 360 perimeter scan. This is the only trim to include this feature, which again, you can't even find that on a Civic or a Corolla. So there's a lot of upscale touches here that really make the Kia stand out if you guys like technology. Now, in terms of other controls, you can see there's a big volume metallic knob or slider wheel over here, along with physical controls for the climate and for shortcut buttons to access the infotainment system. You also have these dials here to control your temperature. It's got dual zone automatic temperature control, which is nice. And then there's down here, you can find a wireless phone charging pad, 2 USB-C charging ports, an actual traditional 12-volt power outlet there, which is nice. And then this gear shifter controls the 8-speed auto. I love how it's a traditional gear shifter, where a lot of brands are going to like those electronic ones. This again has that traditional feel. There's a manual mode here. And then when you put the car into reverse, you can see there's your backup camera, which gives you the trajectory, the distance markers, the automatic emergency cross traffic braking, of course. Now, down here, I also love how Kia resisted the urge to put piano black plastic. Instead, you have a matte black plastic area, which has a really big storage area. But if you push these buttons here, you can see it reveals the cup holders. So this is very versatile, where you can use this to put stuff or reconfigure it to put your drinks. Over here, you can see the center console could be a little bit softer padded, but it's covered in like a synthetic material. Open that up, you can see decent center console storage area. And then here's the key fob for the vehicle. You can see it's got their newest detonator style key, which has lots of buttons here on the side for lock, for unlock, for the panic functionality. And then on the back here, you can see there's remote start. Kia also offers their digital key 2 system on this particular trim, where you can use your smartphone as a key. So if you're an owner, you're really going to take advantage or appreciate that feature. You can see the glove compartment is damped but not lined with felt. It's a traditional bin style. I love, again, the ambient light strip here, which you can change the color, which kind of echoes the light strip that you find in the door panels. And then above me, you can see here the ultra wide sunroof. Definitely feels a little bit more open and airy versus a traditional sunroof. You have like a woven material for the headliner. There's also a power retractable shade. So this is a great feature, again, that you don't typically find in its main rivals from Honda and Toyota. So Kia really throws in a lot of premium features. The build quality feels solid. Visibility also feels good. And in terms of the infotainment display, this is definitely the biggest in the industry. So this is kind of where Honda and Toyota really need to play catch up. Now, in terms of the seats, I also find them to be comfortable and supportive. And the GT line also has seats that feel a little bit more aggressively bolstered. And the fact that they're heated and ventilated, even on the passenger side, although on the passenger side, you can see here, you have a 4-way or a 6-way manual adjustable seat. So that's something to keep in mind. It reminds you again that the K4 is supposed to be a little bit lower on the hierarchy for Kia's lineup. But let's go and hop into the backseat area, because this is where Kia actually made some improvements compared to the sedan. Now, first of all, the roofline is higher in this vehicle, so it actually gives you an extra inch of headroom back here, which is nice. So once I get back here, you can see you don't have to duck your head quite too much, because there's a really decent size opening. And then in terms of the legroom, Kia didn't have final legroom figures just yet for the hatchback, but the sedan has 38 inches of legroom back here, which is a plentiful amount. This is a couple inches more versus a lot of its rivals. As I get in and shut the door, you can hear the door has that same solid sounding thunk. Sadly, it is hard touch plastic materials back here, which is what I expected them to do. There's also no LED ambient lighting on this little portion here like you find in the front doors, but it's nice and padded here and here. And then the window controls, they feel high quality, but they are not one touch down for the rear windows, so kind of keep that in mind. In terms of other features, you can see you do have rear seat air vents back here, 2 USB-C charging ports, a big open area here where they could have put like heated seats, but again, this is a K4, so you can't expect too many great features like that. You can see there's one little storage cubby there in the passenger side. Then if I fold this down, you can see there's an armrest with 2 cup holders along with adjustable headrest. And you can see here with that extra inch of headroom back here, I have at 5'7", I have a solid maybe 2-3 inches of additional headroom clearance. The sunroof does eat into the space a bit, but you can see there's a carve out here to give you a little bit more space. So overall, the back seat is definitely the biggest in the segment. And Kia also mentioned that they really wanted the sound levels of this vehicle to actually be similar to the sedan, because typically when you have an open hatchback area, there's a little bit more boom and road noise, but the company said that they added a little bit more sound deadening materials to the hatchback. So whenever we get a chance to drive this vehicle, we'll be able to confirm if the interior quietness is similar to the sedan, and it should be also among the quietest in the segment. So even though the Kia K4 name may be new here in America and across the world, this vehicle has been a huge sales success for Kia ever since it was first launched. Kia says that as of June of 2025, the company has managed to sell a little over 75,000 units, which would equate to over 150,000 units if they continue at that same pace as we get to the end of this year. And I have to say, after seeing the all-new hatchback body style in person, this is a body style that is really going to resonate well with enthusiasts, because I think it looks a ton better. And I also suspect that once this body style becomes available later this year, it'll help to improve the sales even further, because this is technically Kia's second best-selling model. Their bestseller is the Sportage, of course, followed by the K4, and then other models tend to do well, like the Telluride, for example, and the Sorento. But the new K4 hatchback is definitely going to be a model that is designed to appeal more to the enthusiast shopper, and it's going to reflect that, of course, in the trim structure, because there's no base LX or LXS trim. Kia is going to start this vehicle at the EX trim, which should equate to a higher starting price. Now, of course, as of this filming, we don't know the final pricing figures just yet. But when the vehicle goes on sale later this year, I'd probably say, because it starts at the EX trim, it's probably going to start at maybe higher versus the sedan version of this car, which the sedan version starts at around $23,990 for an EX. I would expect this model to be probably $500 to $1,000 higher. That's my estimate. Of course, we will know that as we get closer to the on-sale date. Now, something like this model here, which is the GT Line Turbo, a sedan version is around $31,500. Again, I suspect this model is probably going to be maybe $1,000, $1,500 more. So only time will tell. Kia will announce that final pricing later this year. But overall, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Would you guys go for the sedan or for the hatchback body style? For me personally, I love the way the hatchback body style looks, but it also kind of begs for an actual GT version. So that's something that I'm hoping Kia will do. They'll poach that 2-liter turbo from the Elantra N and put it in something like this. That could be something that would be a really credible alternative to a GR Corolla or a Honda Civic Type R. But for Redline Reviews here in Detroit, Michigan at the Kia studio, I'm So-Hyun Bae.